Who are you? Are you a Romanian, a Hungarian, or maybe a Polish? Or maybe you're a Catholic, or an Orthodox, or maybe a Muslim. Or maybe all of you are Toastmasters. Well, these are all labels that we all put on ourselves to identify. But why do we do that? Why do we need these labels to define us? Well, I think it's because we always want a sense of belonging to a certain community. So you say, I am a Romanian, and you belong to the whole Romanian community. You say, I'm a Toastmaster, and you belong to the 350,000 Toastmasters all over the world. That's why you say it. But I am here today to argue that these labels that we use to identify ourselves are toxic, they actually divide us, and they stop us from being ourselves. And I will tell you 3 most common labels that we use. Of course, the first one is nationality. Raise your hand if you ever chose in which country you were born in. That's what I expected. I didn't choose. I was born in Pakistan, but that was pure luck. I didn't choose it to be born in Pakistan. Why would I want to be in Pakistan? I mean, there are so many other cool countries, like Greece, for example. I would like to be in Athens. No, I had to be born in Pakistan. Pure luck. But still, somehow, everyone in my country who is born there, and everywhere in the world, somehow identifies themselves with their country. And there is a very distinct example that I have in my mind. A few years back, it was the Cricket World Cup. Maybe not a big deal here in Europe, but a huge freaking deal in our part of the world, or anywhere where England was in the past. It was the World Cup, the semi-final between Pakistan and, of course, India. 1 billion people watching one single match for the whole day. Huge deal. But I love the game of cricket itself. To be honest, at the end of the day, all I care is it's a great game. I don't care who wins. So I set a Facebook status. May the best team wins. Oh my God. What a mistake that was. A bunch of my friends started to comment on that. You traitor. You are an Indian bootlicker. Go away. Go to India. What are you doing in Pakistan? You should say, make Pakistan win. And there were so many comments coming and for a long time until I had to really change my status back to, may Pakistan win. And then they shut up. Now, that's just a very absurd small example on how identifying ourselves so much with nationality can influence how we behave. Imagine all the bigger, more consequential decisions that we make based on that. Of course, the second label that we put on ourselves is religion. Not many of us choose our religion. We don't choose because we are born into it. I was born into a Muslim family, so by default, I'm a Muslim, whether I like it or not. Very few of us actually get to the point where they choose themselves. But still, a lot of us identify ourselves with each other, with these religion labels. And there is one day in my life that I will never forget. That's the day I decided I will never call myself by religion at all. And that was 4th January of 2011. Beautiful winter day, sunny day. I was sitting in my office in Islamabad when I got heard on the news that the governor of our biggest province, a very liberal progressive politician, was shot dead by his own bodyguard just a kilometer away from my office. And I was shocked. The reason he was shot dead by his own bodyguard was this. That politician was advocating for a fair trial of a Pakistani Christian woman that had been accused of committing blasphemy. And if you don't already know, in Pakistan and many other Muslim countries, if you commit blasphemy, the punishment for that is death penalty. And he was advocating just for a fair trial. And his bodyguard thought that he has committed blasphemy by doing just that. And he considered himself, it's okay that he can kill him. And he shot him dead. That's bad in itself. But what was worse, of course that person had a trial and he was punished. and because we have death penalty in our country, he is not alive anymore. But during his trial, there were so many people throwing rose petals at him because they agreed with him. When he was killed and he died, they built a mausoleum on his grave, and they still go and pray there. And this is millions and millions of educated, liberal Pakistanis that do that, who in other ways are not very religious at all, but in this specific case did behave in a certain way, just because they identified themselves of being a Muslim. The final example, and in my view, one of the most destructive ones, is of course the gender. I am a man, I am a woman, we all hear that all the time. But can you remember the time when the kids were small, little babies? Didn't they all used to cry? Weren't they all a bit annoying and sometimes cute, regardless of their gender? Well, what happens later on? Why does it change? Why do we distinguish them so much? Of course, there are physical reasons, but one of the reasons, in my view, is that boys are always told, you're a man, you're not supposed to cry. And they grow up like that. They never get used to crying. But what is crying? Crying is expression of an emotion. But guys don't understand that because they never learn it. While the girls, they have no problem. They grow old, they get into relationships. There is a problem. The girl starts crying, the guy starts screaming, why are you always crying? Well, she's always crying because she understands her emotions and is able to express it by crying. Well, you cannot understand because you never even learn to express your own emotion, let alone understand anyone else's. Half the society does not understand emotions, half expresses them. Perfect recipe for unhappiness. Well, all of these are labels. And yes, I am a Pakistani. I was born a Muslim. And I am a man. But this is just a fraction of who I am. I am a sum of all my insecurities, of all my experiences, and of all my strengths. I am unique. I am Zan, and there is no Zan in the whole world like me. So my question to you is, who are you?